I'm travelling out to sea and back in time.
It's a real privilege to be on board this vessel, trying to solve the final mystery of just what happened the night that brought World War II to Australia's biggest city.
It will be a leap into the unknown and a revelation shedding light on one of our darkest hours. This story is as big as it gets. During the war, Sydney looked like this, bristling with warships, a city seemingly safe from attack. But circling slowly above on the 29th of May 1942 was a lone plane launched from an enemy Japanese submarine. The pilot, a veteran of Pearl Harbor, was sketching targets in preparation for a surprise attack. His name is Susumo Itito. He's now 97 years old. Watching below that day was a fresh-faced Australian gunner, Phil Dulhunty. 18 then, 88 years old now, he spotted Ito's plane.
How do you feel after all the water's passed under the bridge?
Under the bridge, well, Ito went over the bridge, so I'm feeling pretty excited about meeting him now.
7 decades on, south of Hiroshima,
Good to see you.
they're about to meet to tell their story. Friends now, enemies then.
You look very young. So, Ito, this is a painting of your airplane flying over the American Chicago.
I remember.
The USS Chicago escaped the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor and 6 months later sailed into Sydney to cheering crowds. The Chicago had just made Sydney a juicier target for the Imperial Japanese Navy.
Late in May 1942, Allied warships were filling this harbour. But talk of an attack on them wasn't taken too seriously. Few people thought the enemy could strike this far south. And if they dared to try, surely our defences would stop them in their tracks.
The confidence was misguided. The Kure Naval Base in Japan is still formidable today. Filming is seldom permitted. It is home to the bulk of Japan's submarine fleet, just like 1942.
That's a good flag, the Japanese flag, different from all other flags.
From here, 500 men on 5 massive subs were ordered to Australia. It was just before dawn when Susumo Itito was catapulted into history. As he observed the unsuspecting city below, Phil Dulhunty was on duty near Sydney Heads.
You came in through here, I think, and Garden Island. You flew over the bridge. This is at North Head where I was in an Antiaircraft, and you were up here in an aircraft at the same time.
Did you think it was an enemy plane?
No, certainly not at all. I mean, it would have been impossible for an enemy plane or like that to get all the way down here.
Right.
And I think, like everybody else, I just thought it was off one of the American cruisers that was in port. I was on the ground and you were in the air.
Armed with Ito's info, the Japanese commanders decided to strike soon and hit hard. Sydney was full of targets, but the ship they really wanted was the Chicago, and they had a smart and simple plan to beat the harbour defences.
Back in '42, I was a Sydney lad, only a couple of years old, but I have vivid childhood memories of being on a ferry and watching the anti-submarine boom nets being pulled apart to let the ferries through. And this is how the Japanese were planning to get their subs in. They'd sneak in underneath a ferry, and then when the nets were opened, follow them into the harbour. And that was something that we had never thought of.
lurking 7 nautical miles off Sydney, the mother subs went to battle stations.
They were the biggest submarines in the world at that time.
They were quite a force.
Quite a force.
Each Midget sub carried 2 men and 2 high-explosive torpedoes.
The evening is much like this. Calm seas, a big moon, perfectly peaceful, perfect conditions for an attack. Around 8 o'clock, beneath the Manly Ferry, the first of the Midget subs slips into the harbour. It triggers an underwater detection system, but no one pays any attention. Apparently, false alarms happen all the time.
All 3 subs make it into the harbour, but very soon, one becomes entangled in an anti-submarine boom net.
Their warrior code means the men can't surrender themselves or their precious submarine, nor can they give an enemy the satisfaction of killing them. So instead, they set off demolition charges. They blow themselves up. The second sub, the M24, is prowling around the harbour, but is spotted by the crew of the Chicago. They open fire. Other warships start blasting away with everything they've got, and all hell breaks loose.
Shot at and pounded by depth charges for hours on end, the crew of the 3rd submarine commit suicide by shooting themselves. The next morning, the sub will be found with its motor still running. One sub remains, armed and ready.
In all the noise and confusion, the crew of the M24 fire 2 torpedoes at the Chicago. The first goes right down the side of the huge warship, a narrow miss. The next goes straight down the other side of Chicago and races on across the harbour.
The torpedo struck at 12:30 a.m. Sunk is HMAS Cuttable, a ferry being used as a dormitory for sailors. 21 young men die in their sleep. The war has come to Sydney. The M24 escapes the harbour and turns north. The mother subs shell Sydney and Newcastle as they too flee. Despite this provocation, back on land, Australia shows unprecedented decency in wartime. The 4 dead Japanese submariners are given a funeral with full military honours.
Return! Fire! Go! Return! Fire! Go! Fire! Return! Fire! On load!
The scene is one of quiet simplicity, the occasion of the cremation of 4 brave men who have died for their country.
Their ashes are sent back to Japan. There, the fallen crewmen are proclaimed hero gods by Emperor Hirohito. Among them, their commander, Kiyu Matsuo. This is the last shot of him taken on the night of the attack. When his ashes arrived in Japan, his brother collected them. Matsuo's 3 nieces are seeing this footage for the first time. They are still touched by Australia's humanity.
To be given a funeral like that in such circumstances is unheard of in the world. The fact that our uncle was one of those so honored made us very grateful. No such case is found, either in Japanese history or in world history. I'm more than grateful. I feel honored. I can't thank you enough.
Susumo Itito survived the war. He went on to be a successful businessman, selling office supplies. Phil Dulhunty also found success in business and went on to fly seaplanes as his hobby.
So, Ito, we have a necktie for Seaplane Pilot Association of Austria. And you are life honorary member Australian seaplane.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I dig these now. He's Australian.
But one mystery remains. 54 meters below the waves, a 70-year-old secret is about to be solved.
We're down to 45 metres now.
Wow, we're getting very close.
"54 meters below the sea,
Pretty exciting moment, really.
And it just suddenly pops into view.
this is the eureka moment. Inside the midget sub M24, the first look in 70 years. Its conning tower unmistakable, eerie. This war machine now a sanctuary for fish. One of the midget subs recovered from the night of the attack shows exactly how the M24 looked inside. Cramped, claustrophobic, and designed to kill. This is how the M24 looks now. Time and the sea have worn so much of it away. Our camera goes inside the torpedo tubes. Empty. The deadly payload that sunk the HMAS Cuttable was launched from here.
So you're inside, just coming into the control room space now.
Wow.
Here, on the right, is the periscope through which they would have glimpsed Sydney. But what Tim Smith is keen to see is the sub's ladder, the clue that will solve the mystery. Did the two crew, Ban and Ashibe, escape from the sub or die in it?
See, what you can see there, that's the ladder.
Yes,
which was their only escape out of the submarine. But interestingly, it's up in the stowed position, up in the chute.
Right.
That means they haven't got out, or haven't attempted to get out, because they had to pull that down to get enough leg room to climb out of the conning tower space.
There's not much doubt now that what we're looking at is the last resting place of two extraordinarily brave young men. It's a piece of history.
And so, one mystery solved leads us to another. Why, after fleeing this far, did the sub and its men come to rest here, forevermore, a war grave? This very first look inside the M24 will probably also be the last.